I'd like to call the meeting of the Executive Finance Committee to order. Councilor Hoskin, would you do our invocation, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Everybody rise, bow your heads. Lord, thank you once again for this opportunity to come together and do the business of the Cherokee people. It is truly a blessing. As we go about this business, help us remember those around the country who've been affected by the severe weather, the tornadoes. Let us remember them in our prayers. And as we do our business, let's remember that we're here to help primarily those in need. Thank you, Amen.
Roll call, please.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Kara Callan Watts. Ahani. Bill England. Bill John Baker.
Here.
Carla Bezzard. Julia Coates. Here. Bradley Cobb. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishing Hawk. Here. Meredith Fraley. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
China Glory Jordan. Present. Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Soap.
Here.
David Thornton. We do have a quorum.
Okay, we do have a quorum. I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the March 31st regular session minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next are reports, and our treasurer is, yes, Councilor Ross.
Mr. Chairman, this time I'd move to, if it's necessary, amend the agenda to add community assistance. Probably appropriate to put it in the consent items, or if it needs to be a separate item, that's fine with me, Mr. Chairman, just so we can address that today.
Okay, it can go under consent items.
Very good.
Since so many has already been appropriated for that.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, and there's a second. So the motion is to put community assistance items under consent items for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay. Our treasurer, Ms. Ketcher, is out of town, and the treasurer's report will be given by June Butler. It's good to have you with us today.
Thank you. Good afternoon. You have Keller's report, and she asked that if you have any questions, I will take them and be glad to forward them to her and get you some answers if you have any.
Are there any questions? Okay. You got off easy today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You want that, Callie? You want that? No.
Okay. Next, Cherokee Nation Businesses, David Stewart.
That was good.
You may not be so well. Good luck with that.
I'll see if I can pull that off. Yeah. I'll let Todd do it. Would you like to do that? Okay, you have the financial report, and as you can see, February was a challenging month for the casinos because of the blizzard. We were down the entire month with Casino 3, and then all of the other casinos essentially had about a week that they were off. So, there's just no way you can replace that. Fortunately, we had a good March. In fact, we had almost a record in revenue March in gaming, so that was very positive. So you're going to see those numbers kind of pull back in March, and we're going to be on budget. You're going to receive, after every board meeting, an update on decisions that were made by the board. And it will, I think you received that today, Mike. You sent that recently. But basically, you will see the board decisions in a summary report, so you'll know what actions were taken by the board. Sometimes I report that, but I don't report all of them, so we're going to make sure that you know all of that information. The most significant approval, two items, the Casino 3, which is to replace the one that we lost as a result of the blizzard. So we'll replace that and also add 100 rooms in a new tower. They also approved developing the J Laundry, and that is to essentially, we're currently outsourcing all of our laundry to a third party. So we're going to have our own laundry. Now we can funnel that business to that and then create jobs right here in 14 counties. So I think that's, it's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, we can take all the talent that we have to run business and then create jobs with money that we're sending out to other companies. So I think it's kind of a test case, kind of a new way to look at things, and I'm excited about getting that going. Several key events. The Mid-America move is going well. We expect to be in there in 60 to 90 days, so we're excited about that. We met with Walmart yesterday, and they have agreed to be a test, give us a kind of a pilot program to manage the logistics on their returns. If you go to Bentonville and go to their return room, you'll see that there are an incredible amount of product that they get back they really don't know what to do with. So they're looking to us to help refurbish some of what they get back and then actually help them store it, warehouse it, and then fulfill it as they sell it. So it's a new concept they're working with us on, and I think it's going to be a good way for us to create jobs within the 14 counties, and we'll just update you as that contract progresses. The logistics side at C&I, we went through some restructuring. Russell Claybrook is Cherokee, and he's the new CEO of that division. He came from, we had a company in the safety and security business. He was trying to develop that, and we needed a leader at C&I, so we put him over there. And that was about 4 or 5 months ago, and we were just awarded a $50 million contract in logistics, which is a cost-plus type contract. Most of that work will be done over the next 60 to 90 days. So we're ramping up for that. We have a couple of applications that we have out for new jobs. So that's another key event. So I think things are going very well. A lot of integration between all the different companies that we're forming. I think that's the new strategic move that we need to work on. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have
Any questions
about the companies.
for Mr. Stewart? Councilor Buster.
Yeah, David, you might have said, maybe I didn't hear you, on that Walmart contract on refurbishing, is that going to be moved over to building at Mid-America plant? The warehouse stuff?
We're going to start at Stillwell. We have a plant there that we're not using as a result of some of the backlog, the deficiency. So we're going to start there, and then I think the warehousing and fulfillment might be in prior, because we can't combine non-defense type contract work with defense. So we're going to have to separate those at some point, but I think we'll start at Stillwell.
And then a follow-up question, and you may have answered it too, on the $50 million contract, what is our percent of problem?
There's the way the contract works, there's an indirect cost reimbursement, which is our overhead. So that's an agreed upon rate. And then depending upon whether it's services or product, the percentages are different, but I think they're either 5 or 8% profit on those, depending upon the mix. But it's a healthy, yeah, it's a negotiated number. It's similar to the other contract that we have. So hopefully, if we can push that work into this year, that's going to help C&I's profitability overall.
If you get the indirect plus the percent?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Councilor Fishing.
Yeah, David, did you ever get that pie chart I asked for you last month?
I'm sorry?
That pie chart I asked for last month?
The pie chart. Well, I know we answered the information, the questions that you had at the last meeting, and then I think you had an email. We sent those to the chief through the process, but I'm not sure about the pie chart.
Okay, when we was at a meeting here a couple months ago, one of my constituents, and I asked it of you last month,
Yeah.
wanted to see the pie chart that was originally presented on gaming, that told the people when we was going through it, approving it and everything, where the gaming monies would
I
go
remember
from the
that.
government.
I remember that.
And
you wanted to go back, if you'll
As far as you
refer,
could.
as far as we could on what, okay.
Here's what the woman told me. She said,
Yeah.
Jody, when you all come to us, Cherokee Nation did years ago, you all put out all this, I don't want to use the word she used, all this material that said, that showed a pie chart and had it divided up where the gaming money was gonna go here, so much was gonna go to health, so much was going to go here, so much was gonna go here of our
Okay,
dividends. She
Okay.
said, I want to see the pie chart.
okay.
David, we could not find the
Oh,
document that
okay.
she's referencing. We went back and looked at the board meeting minutes from around the era time, when we created CNEs, and we just couldn't find the document. We looked for pie charts, we looked for references to pie charts, but we just couldn't find a document that was disseminated back in 1989.
Communications and press, or PR would probably have it.
You know,
Because she said y'all went around the communities doing it.
The way our money goes to the tribe from our dividend, we really don't dictate how that money is used.
That's
You
what I'm
do.
saying, maybe PR or communications might have, it. I might be asking wrong people.
Yeah, I'm thinking we may not have been able to do that because you could have put that money wherever you wanted to through the budgeting
I think it
process.
was probably government, now that I'm starting to think about it.
Yeah.
I'll ask them.
It might be government because when we give the money to the tribe, then the tribe, you know, you all determine where that budget goes. It's not up to us. So that may be,
That makes sense, thank you, David.
Ms. Councilor Jordan.
Yes. I've noticed that a couple of your members on your combined board of 17 have either retired or left the board positions. And I wonder if this is not a good time for us to consider bringing that board down to a number that's a little more acceptable in the corporate world. I mean, 17 seems like an awful high number for a board, especially when we're paying them anywhere from a minimum of $24,000 to a maximum, I guess, of $75,000. And by my calculations on that board, we're just in keeping the board paid somewhere around the $600,000 range. And David, to be quite honest, I don't think you need 17 people on your board. Now, I know what you did when you combined all the boards was rather than move people out, you just put enough positions so that all these combined boards, every person that was sitting on a board got a position. But it seems like since we're to the point now where they're naturally leaving or they're retiring, could we not consider choking that board down to maybe a 7-member board or a 9-member board? Is there some compelling reason why we need to keep 17 people on a board?
well, I think the bylaws allow for 17, but we only had, I think, 13 when we consolidated all of the boards because nobody was effectively terminated as a board member. We wanted to bring them all into one group. And we've had 2 resign since then, so we have 11. So it is getting more into the manageable area. But one reason why we have, or we need, you know, I don't know what the right number is, but we need enough to manage the different committees. We have a committee structure where CNI has a 3-member committee, C&E has a 3-member committee, we have a compensation committee, a governance committee, an audit committee, and so all those committees make up of 3 people. So
And the
there's
chairperson of each one of those committees gets an extra $12,000.
Yeah, and that chair is also a member of the executive committee and also on the C&E committee and act as chairman. So his responsibility currently is to actually participate in 2 or 3 of those committees.
Well, I think it's my responsibility and this committee's responsibility to be able to look our citizenship in the eye and say, there's a legitimate reason for $600,000 being used for a board over at C&E. And I would ask you to consider reducing your board number in your bylaws to no more than 9. And I think we'll find that you're going to be able to do your work with a board of 9, much like you could have done your work with a board of 11, 13, or 17.
I'll certainly take that back to the governance committee. There's a governance committee that actually looks at compensation, responsibility, and structure.
And who is on that committee?
Dave Ballou is actually the chairman of that committee.
And members?
Can anyone help me with the members' names? I think Brad Carson, and I can't remember, I'm sorry, but there's another member, there are 3.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I would ask you to take that back
Okay.
to them and maybe we can hear some good discussion regarding that issue. Then I also would like to ask you about the requirement that everyone connected with CNE by employment must have a gaming license. Because I fail to see why we are making the requirement of a gaming license when they're working in the kitchen or when they're working out on the grounds. I mean, there's a lot of support staff that have no direct relationship with gaming, yet they're being required to have a gaming license. And I understand from other tribes that this is not a requirement with them, that essential employees are required to have a gaming license, but not necessarily so much support staff. And I would ask your consideration in looking into that of why we need to have that requirement on our support staff that have no direct connection whatsoever with the gaming facility itself, other than they work under the CNE umbrella.
Yeah. Well, actually, we had that debate with the Gaming Commission. Actually, that's not under my control. That is dictated to us by the Gaming Commission. So we have really no say-so in that decision.
Other than you could make recommendations.
Well, we have. We've made numerous recommendations on that very issue.
Is there a compelling reason for the gaming license to be required in those support staff areas? Because what I'm hearing from people that make application is that they get beat out, our Cherokee citizens are getting beat out for those jobs because someone's coming from another, say, out of state, and they have a gaming license, but they're not Cherokee.
Right, and it's an issue we face, and it kind of ties our hands in doing some things that you're talking about. But the compelling reason for that is that the back of house, whether it be the kitchen or other areas, once you enter the back of house and those doors, then there are doors and access, potential access to money and information systems and so on. And so the Gaming Commission's viewpoint is that whenever you enter that back of house, because they're back there walking around, we need to know who that is, what their background is, and so on. So what we've talked to them about is trying to get a limited license or, some other way to determine, if they don't have access to this area, maybe we could license them differently for this very reason, because a lot of those requirements on the licensing eliminates our potential hiring. But our hands are tied on that.
Okay, we're gonna have to move forward, and I'm gonna put 10 more minutes. I've got 5 more people.
I have
Okay.
additional questions, but I'll talk with him after the meeting,
Okay.
especially about the 20 employees that
Next
we're not
is
going
Counselor
to
Watts.
hire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have concern that we just leave it on the record as if it appears that, I'm not saying we can't find more efficiencies on our board, but I'm able to actually attend the board meetings. I don't know if the other 4 council people that also attend would concur, but those are not just one day a month, but those involve a lot more time. I find that the 17 already have a lot on their plate, and especially now that it's been reduced because of 13 because of other circumstances. I'm not saying that we don't constantly need to look how we can all become more efficient. So I think that doesn't need to just necessarily change. I hope that's not the discussion just because one person on this body leaves that's it. I don't think that's the only opinion concerning that. And also, I don't know, I just find that, I struggle with that. I guess everybody should know that they're all invited to those board meetings. And I think that sounds like an opportunity for some folks to understand better what actually happens. And we appreciate all the work that everybody puts in, and your staff and the board members. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Counselor Cobb.
A couple questions. In your opinion, is there significant liability for CNB board members legal liability? Are they open to, being board members, are they open to fairly significant legal liability?
Yes, and I think we have E&O, directors insurance liability for them. But yes, it's a huge corporation, so.
Second question. Acknowledging the fact that liability is fairly significant for those board members, also taking into account the gross revenues of C&B, compare that to other corporate entities. Are they paid accordingly?
No, what happened was we had an independent party look at pay levels for board members of similar type companies. And I think the analysis shows that these board members are well underpaid for their responsibility. So we didn't just pick out a number out of the air. So there was research done on that. Independent party, the governance committee dealt with that issue, and ultimately a recommendation, and they landed where they are.
Thank you. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Presley.
I just have a comment. Locust Grove High School students took a tour of Hard Rock, and they have a paper they publish each month, and you got good coverage.
Okay, I
But
think I saw them the other
The
day.
thing that impressed them most were the job opportunities and security.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you don't mind passing on to your staff, they were very well treated.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me. Councilor Pizzikoff, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, David, on the 3 different projects going out for bid, can you keep us apprised of the 100% Cherokee
Yes,
deal
sure.
on them? I'd kind of like to step back. And talk to me about this $200,000 we used for buy shares to give to Charlie Soap to do a documentary or something?
Well, actually, that, I guess we're calling it a corporate documentary. The documentary is funded by other tribes. I think the Chickasaws have $600,000 invested, and the Choctaws have, I'm not sure if anybody knows the exact number of that. But anyway, this is a documentary about Wilma Mankiller and some of the history behind some of her work in Cherokee country. And so the way we looked at it, it's from a cultural standpoint. It touches a little bit of cultural tourism, and it also is, I think, a corporate documentary from our point of view to support the Cherokee Nation. So that's what it is. It's a film about those work projects by Wilma.
And can you explain the share thing and buying the shares?
It's actually a corporation, and as a result of the contribution of $200,000, we received some of those stock shares. So if the documentary does make money, then we will share in the profits of that film. It's a method of ownership, and we own a piece of it. Actually, I think it's preferred stock.
Councilor Hoskin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Who spearheaded that, and when did it start? I mean, this idea about this film, if you know.
I'd have to go back and get a little more detail. I know does anyone here have detail around that? I know Molly Jarvis coordinated all of that information and collected it. We've been looking at it for about 6 months because we didn't just get it and just write check. We looked at it, got into it a little bit, looked at the corporate structure, looked at the terms, looked at the purpose of the company, looked into a little bit of the history of the person that's doing the film. I think our responsibility was a due diligence on what was going on to make sure that, from a business standpoint, we covered all of our bases.
What's the name of the company?
Cherokee word for water, I believe. Is that?
He said the name of this.
Oh, the name of the company, I don't know that. But we have a business case and detail on that, and I can get that to you.
Okay.
Okay? There's been a significant amount of work done
Okay.
on that issue.
Okay, thank you.
I think it is significant that the Chickasaws put in 3 times what we did.
Right. Right. And Mr. Chairman, we have Don Williams with BK&D. They did our audit for the past year. And so I thought it would be a good idea if you heard from him and were able to answer his questions. He presented the audit report to our board at the last board meeting. So it's kind of an independent, not a tradition, but a customary for the auditor to report out to the shareholder. And so they reported out to the board members at the last meeting, and so now he will report out to you. It's a chance for you to ask any questions. That audit report, I think, Doug, you had a complete copy of the audit report and documents. Okay. Don, there you are. So I'm going to, if you'll,
Okay.
please, give him a chance to kind of give his 5 minute. I know you're short on time, but there's a significant amount of work in this. It's a good report. I think it's worth your time.
Thank you, David. Yeah, my name is Don Williams, partner with BKD. Appreciate the opportunity to meet with you and here to answer any questions we can. I'm going to give you a real high-level overview of the audit. I kind of live by the best audit report. It's a short audit report in general. But just to let you know kind of what we do and what the general results of that were, we do a combined audit for Cherokee Nation businesses, but that actually entails the completion of 6 other independent separate audits. We issue separate audits for Will Rogers Downs, which is required by the Oklahoma Horse Racing Commission. We do a separate audit for Cherokee Nation Entertainment, which is essentially the casino operation, which is required by the National Indian Gaming Commission. We do a separate audit for Cherokee Nation Industries, which is required by the Small Business Administration. Same for Cherokee Services Group, LLC. It's a separate audit as required by the SBA. And then there's 2 investments that are owned by CNB. One's called Cherokee CRC, LLC, and the other one's called Aerospace Products. And since those involve other non-Cherokee ownership, there are separate audits conducted of those entities. So each of those are a separate engagement. There's a separate report issued, a separate management letter issued, and all of those have been made available to Doug here earlier today. I would report that we do get good support from your people at CNB and the related entities. And we also get good support from the internal audit functions. Cherokee Nation has one of the largest internal audit functions probably in the state of Oklahoma, particularly when you look at the combined activities of Cherokee Nation businesses and the activities of the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. I think between those 2 groups, there's probably 30 or 40 independent internal auditors that work on the various entities, the Gaming Commission focusing primarily on the gaming activities. We coordinate our activities primarily through the audit committee of CNB. Dennis Dowell is the chairman of that committee, as well as the Gaming Commission. They're kind of a second audit committee, so every year as we go through the audit process, we meet with them before the audit begins to get their input into that process, and then we meet with them at the end of the audit to go through our draft reports. And that's done with both the CNB Audit Committee and the Cherokee Nation Gaming Commission. We issue an opinion on each set of financial statements, and all of our opinions are considered unqualified or clean opinions, so we had no matters to report in those reports. They were clean reports. We also, in addition to those audits I mentioned, do procedures on what's called minimum internal control standards. Those are standards created by the National Indian Gaming Commission overall to the gaming activity, and we issued a report on those minimum internal control standards, and there were no findings to report as a result of that work. And then we do a separate audit for the state of Oklahoma relative to the money that's given to them under the compact to give them comfort that they've been receiving the correct funding, and there were no exceptions, and there was a clean opinion on that report as well. There were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control, so the house was pretty clean. It continues to get better each year. A couple of just general observations. This was the first year that we had this combined board, and I think we did see some value in that. I think the communications both at the corporate level as well as the government level improved. I think we always found kind of historically as the auditors, we were trying to help communicate between those organizations when they had separate boards, so that improved over the year. The C&I audit process, more so than that had been a challenge in the past, but that was significantly improved during the year. We got through that audit in a lot less time and effort this year. Overall, financially, it was a pretty good year, and I say that in today's economy, I guess we say flat is up. So the earnings for C&E and C&B were similar to the prior year, and then the dividend that was paid to the nation was, say, almost identical, very similar to the prior year, and I think given the current economy, that's considered to be a fairly favorable result. So if there are any, we're not going through the reports, again, Doug has those, and I'm sure he'll be able to do his review and report back to the council once he's done that, but is there any questions?
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, Mr. Williams, what company did you say you were with?
It's called BKD. Just the initials.
What does it stand for?
Yeah, it stands for Baird, Kurd, and Dobson initially, which is 3 partner names.
Do you do any of our other audits?
We do the audit for the nation.
And how long have you been doing the audit for the nation?
This is our 5th year.
And were you with another company that did the audit for the nation before that?
Yes, I was.
And how long has that took place?
Oh, I think we were here for a few years, and then we were out and came back in, I think, in 2001.
So from 2001 till now, you've been acquainted with the company that's doing Cherokee Nation's audits?
Yes.
And now you're doing C&B's audits. And how long have you been doing those audits?
5 years.
Isn't it a bit unusual in the auditing world for one auditor to be connected with audits for the same organization continually for a period of 10 years?
Oh, I don't know that it's significantly unusual. I mean, there's...
Well, isn't it a better practice? Maybe I need to state that a different way. Isn't it a better practice for auditors to be changed out every 3 or 4 years so that if there is a prior mistake made by other auditors, we can catch that before it's 10 or 20 years old?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons on that topic in debate. I mean, the one argument is that you get a fresh look. The other argument is that you know, the longer you're there, kind of the better you understand the organization. You know where to look, and you know, you have better knowledge from which to do the audit. So there's a debate on that topic.
And what are you being paid for the audit with CMB and its entities?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. In total, it's probably, if I gave you an estimate for these audits we discussed.
We'll get either Doug to get those or
Okay.
get them from Dave Stewart.
And just one last question. Are you a partner with BKD?
Yes.
Are you were you one of the partners that originally put together BKD?
No.
But
I mean, BKD is the 10th largest CPA firm in the country. It has 30 offices, about 2,000 employees, so it's yeah.
Is the year that you came to BKD the year that we started doing Cherokee Nation audits again through BKD?
Yes.
Are there any questions for Mr. Williams? We appreciate your,
I got a question for Doug on this.
okay, appreciate your being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Don.
You
Question for Doug on the subject.
excuse me. Doug, we have a question from Ms. Fishing Hawk.
Tanya, you do listen to the exchange that Tanya's asking. Is this normal business practice?
That's a real hard question to answer, for a couple of reasons. One is, these audits go out for bid. Okay, so there are audit firms that are available to submit proposals to us.
It's a good business practice.
I think the firm has much more to risk, especially a firm the size of BKD, than what could be gained through. And I'm kind of dancing around the question because.
Why don't you just say it?
Well,
Yeah, just tell them what you're trying to say.
well, I don't know if it's normal customary business practice to be doing this because I'm not involved in a lot of other companies audit selection process. I'm not involved in this organization's audit selection process, to be honest with you. So I don't really know if it is or not, but BKD is a large organization.
They have too much to lose, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart?
Yeah. Any other questions?
Any other questions of Mr. Stewart?
Will it be all right if they, if Doug provides the audits to us?
Sure.
I just
Yes.
thought we better hear from
Yeah.
Mr. Stewart, if that's okay.
Okay. Thanks very much. Okay. The other reports I'm going to cut to no more than 8 minutes each. Ms. Kelly, for career services.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just before we move on, I recall that this body is provided with their own, each member has their own copy, and I've read it every year. It's really interesting to read, and it's good for us probably to read. It says BKD on the front every year.
Right, yes.
So just
we
for the
are.
record, we have provided that. So I hope that everybody's reading it. So we should be familiar with it. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Kelly.
Well, hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. As I said last month, it is very exciting times. This is our busiest time of the year. It is, really and honestly, we are just really. We are really enjoying our job and the partnership that we are working with CNE. I'm sorry that David had to leave, but we have waited for many, many years to be able to get our foot in the door, working with them on trying to secure jobs for our Cherokee people. And I can truthfully tell you, it is happening. We're excited. Had meetings yesterday with our staff, and we've been in the Catoosa-Claremore area working on the day work program for probably about 3 weeks. Andy Dreadfulwater, who was one of our day work participants, is the point person for that program up there, doing an outstanding job. And we have already put 3 to 4 people to work there at the casino, and we've got 10 in the pipeline in 3 weeks' time, and they're all Cherokee. And we're just real excited about that. We're very excited about the partnership with Siloam Springs. I can't say enough about Siloam Springs. That's my stomping grounds over there. But they're rolling out the red carpet for us to work with them. We've got several things going on over there. We've got like I said last month, a vocational training program going on that will start May 16th. And then we've also got a work-based learning program that we're going to roll out with our culinary department at Job Corps. And Jay and his staff are real excited about it. So is our culinary arts teacher. And we've got some of the staff over there that are going to go up there and sit in on some of the classes, which will help enhance our training programs over here. We are working with Sean, Melanie Knight, and different ones to try to secure us a trailer that we can put back there where Flint Co. is located on the back side of the facility, so that our counselors will be up there on Mondays rather than the people having to drive all the way to Stillwell on Monday morning, which is about a 45-minute jog because of all the construction that's going on, and then where Jay's located, that's about another 45 minutes. One of the things we found out that some of these people sometimes are not filling out their applications properly. They're getting sent back. Up at Catoosa, we're just over there at Verdigris, which is about a 15-minute jog. It's not too bad, but it's going to be very hard on these people because of gas prices to have to go back to Jay, go back to Stillwell. So we're looking at a facility there, a trailer, that those counselors can work out of on Mondays, especially when we're actually placing. And we're working with them right now to secure that. I can't say enough about the collaboration, coordination, partnership that's going on there. We are real excited. We know that it's going to help people get jobs. We visited with the staff in Delaware County this past week, and Councilman Buzzard, Councilman Snell, the staff up there say that there is very little construction in that county, and we know that a lot of those people that we're going to be working with are going to come from Delaware County. The staff in Adair County, they've got construction going on in Adair County. We have industry over there. We know that we're going to pull a few from Adair County, but we're hoping that Delaware County, they will come out so that we can get those people some good jobs. The jobs at the casino hotel are good jobs. They're good paying jobs. We're working with Molly Jarvis through cultural tourism for some short-term projects for day work training. We're working later on down the road with the other casinos to do some projects. We ask that they allow us to get the bugs worked out at Catoosa and at West Siloam Springs. Melanie Dodge will be the point person at West Siloam Springs. That was decided yesterday. We're pulling her out of what she's doing and moving her over there to work on that. We've got to have a point person at each location. I'd like to introduce Caleb Grazier. Caleb, are you still here? Stand up. Caleb is one of our finance people in our department, and he's going to be the point person working with our C&E projects, because we're going to be having to invoice for everything that we do with them on a monthly basis, and someone's got to track that. He's already working on our day work program and working on the budgets for that, so he will be doing that on a full-time basis. So I just wanted to introduce him to you.
Okay.
Job Bank.
Excuse me, Councilor Buzzard has a question.
Yeah, before your time's up.
thank you.
And you're about to run out.
Okay. Thank you.
What do I do with a person that lives in Jay? He's looking for some day work for it. But then he goes up there, he has no money, he's just barely enough to get up to our career services office. And they tell him you gotta go to Miami or you gotta go to Pryor to the work center to sign up. Now, it's 40 miles up there, or 44 miles up there, and 44 miles back. That's 88 miles, and he doesn't have enough money to buy a gallon of gas. Is that where the trailer's going to come in, or where they can do that on site now?
Yeah. That's why we're putting that trailer up there, so that we won't have to send them back and forth. And we're trying to work with the Employment Service. One of the things that the criteria for day work is that they don't have any other resources coming in, like unemployment benefits. Up in your area, we don't have the luxury of having employment offices in some of these counties like we do on the southern side of the state. And we have asked them to expand,
His wife
and they
works
said
at
they're
the poultry
shorthanded.
plant. She works about 20 hours a week. He doesn't have a job, so I know they don't have money, and I felt like, pulling money out of my pocket so we could drive to Miami to get signed up, and it's a problem for us there in Delaware County. So anyway, sound like you may have it solved.
We are trying to work on that,
Sure.
and we know that the fuel is part of the
Yeah,
problem.
and it's
So
part of the problem. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Hoskin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the Veneta Clinic construction getting underway, what can we do to make sure we identify Cherokees locally who can work, want to go to work, and need to go to work on that project?
Mr. Overacker, are you back there?
Dale Gibson will be the compliance officer up there, and he will actually be in the Flintfield trailer at least 3 or 4 days out of the week. If anyone comes up there to the trailer and wants to be employed, Dale will catch them, they'll get their contact number, and Dale will meet them up there as they go. We're currently already started looking for people there, and we'll probably have a small job fair up there as soon as Flintfield gets situated and everything else. The rain kind of set them back a week. So hopefully the next couple of weeks we'll get something set up there. We can pick out one day where people can come in, so we'll know that they're available to work.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
In regard,
And you are running out of time. You only have a minute or so.
okay. In
Councilor
regard,
Watts.
And I just want to bring to everyone's attention and appreciate the highlight in your report that Tara will now be getting texting and emailing alerts on bidding, and I greatly appreciate the new technology. Thank you.
One of the things
Councilor
that-
Fisher-Carr.
okay.
Diane, I was looking on the CIOB eligible procurement report that shows our health entities are only employing 48% Cherokee citizens. I know we talked about before about the health committee getting with education to put some of these people who are putting through school into our jobs. Have they talked to you about it or anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that?
We are working with the Higher Education Department, our Continuing Studies program, and also Melissa, and we're working on these career ladders. We've been in several meetings, and we're trying to get the tiers into place, and it's a joint effort so that we work with them on the associate end of it.
Okay, and then I know this past month, because I had asked Stuart a couple of things about 2 people that was promoted from, one of them was promoted to a VP and another one was hired from outside, and these was upper positions, of course, because like I said, one was VP. Could you check into that to see if there was any eligible Cherokees that was available for them positions?
Yes, ma'am. In regards to that, we have sent a letter to Dave, he's aware of it. I visited with him about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and Mr. Overacker did send a letter out. The chief was aware of it, and we have requested that information.
Okay. So
15 seconds to wrap up.
Okay,
Go ahead.
there is one thing I want to comment on
I have
that
one
Councilman.
question.
No.
I want her to follow up with us.
Well, talk to her after this meeting.
Okay, I want to go on the record as objecting. We are here to do the people's business. Limiting me to 3 questions when I have more is bull. Do you hear
Okay.
that, Speaker?
Yes, I did.
Jack?
Okay,
I make a motion, we extend the time for this report for 5 minutes.
I hate it when people want to get out of here early.
okay. Motion's been made, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to extend the report for 5 minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Okay. We have 5 more minutes. Okay, Jody?
Could you get back to us? up
Yes,
on
ma'am,
what
I
you
will.
put about the vice president, other than being promoted?
Be glad to.
Thank
Be
you.
glad to. I just wanted to comment on Councilman Hoskin asking about the construction. John has brought Mr. Tootle back, who was working for us on the R projects, and we will have someone assigned to each one of those construction projects on a full-time basis, like Mr. Gibson's working, Benita, well, Mr. Vance and Mr. Tootle and Mr. Meggs, they will all be assigned one of those construction sites. We'll give you a list of who's working in what area. So if you have questions pertaining to some of the stuff that you're talking about with employment, then you'll have telephone numbers and people to call.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Jordan?
Have you filled all your summer employment slots?
No, ma'am, we have not. And we don't anticipate, we know what's going to happen as soon as the doors are locked at the schools, then here will come all these kids and all their mothers, and the deadline will be already over with. Jeff doesn't want to extend it, but we know it's going to happen. It happens every year. And we'll take applications as long as we can, but we've got to get these kids placed. So we know that we'll be still taking applications even after summer youth starts.
And what is the deadline?
Deadline is, I think it's next week.
Okay. And might I just throw out there that the little Holbrook Public Schools would love to have some placement if you need other placements within Cherokee County.
We'll make sure that Mr. Crittenton or Miss Pritchett or Miss Beller or Mr. Hayes
I
gets out
think
there.
that continuation of some painting is something that they're looking into, and that the Holbrook Senior Citizen Center, I think you've already covered their one slot, or have talked to them, I hope, about the one slot that they requested.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I did hear today on the news that the unemployment rate for Sequoia County was the highest in the state.
That's correct.
Exceeding 9%. So are you doing lots
Yes,
of work?
sir, we are.
Good. I was
That
sure
is
you
one of
were.
my targeted counties, and yes, we are.
Good.
Are there any other
We
questions?
appreciate that. Any other questions for Diane?
I do have one thing I want to hand out. We've been working with C&E through Mr. Stewart and the IT department. We have a job bank number. It's called Jobs Well Done. Molly Jarvis and Sammy Rusco came up with the theme on this. These are the flyers that will go out on the website, but there is a 1-800 number. Dennis Carter is the person that would actually be the first line to be contacted through Career Services. And then from there, he can put the line into Peggy Guy in our HR on the government side, or through Vivian Phillips, who was here a while ago, on the corporate side. So there's 2 phone numbers there that he can transfer over. And we'll be working on this for the rest of this year so that we can expand that, so that we will have a cultivated list of people who are just wanting to come back here, who may not be applying for a job at the time, but at least we'll have their resumes and information in the pool. So bear with us as we work the bugs out on this, and I'll hand this out to you so that you'll have it. And Deborah Lack is here, and at some point in time, when you've got more time, she can explain this to you. Are there any other questions?
Any other questions for Diane? Okay. Oh,
Thank you.
I do not have a question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Diane.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to amend the agenda to add very brief discussion about the Battle of Cabin Creek land. Very brief discussion, it can be at the end of the agenda if time permits. I'd certainly table it if we're running short on time, but I'd make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So the motion made and seconded that we add item 2 under new business for discussion on land at the Cabin Creek Civil War battle site.
Yes, that's
Or battle sites, it's plural,
Yeah.
more than one occurred there. So all those in favor of amending the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, Ms. Knight.
I did want to clarify on the CIOB report that the health entities is PACE and home health. That does not include the government's health group. That's also the government reporting, so I just wanted to make that. And other than that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Ann? None? Okay, thanks, Ann. Next is the Cherokee National Historical Society, Mr. Kelly.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
You should have a copy of my report, and just want to say I'm very excited about all the things that are happening at the Heritage Center, and just what a tremendous difference the partnership, the memorandum of agreement we have with the Cherokee Nation and our partners at C&B is making. And I think I've reported on some of the successes, and I won't go back over them here, but just say thank you to the council, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Mr. Kelly? Okay, appreciate your being here. Okay, the Cherokee Nation Foundation, Kimberly Gilliland could not be here today, and she asked that her report be moved to May, and if there's no objections, we'll have her report next month. Okay. Next are our consent items. With the first item are the tarot certifications, which are in your booklet under consent items, the first item. So to entertain a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on any of the businesses? Not?
Me either.
Then all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. The other consent items, there have been amendments passed out, I believe, on all of those. First is the cemetery restoration assistance applications. Yes.
I would like to pull Price Cemetery. We seem to have some doodling applications out there. And so I would like to pull that off until next month so we can investigate that further.
Okay. So you're asking that Price Cemetery be removed?
Yes, that's in our county, and we've got 2 applications from different people, so we need to check and see what the situation is.
Okay. Ms. Fishigon.
I would like to know which cemeteries go with what? County.
We can, she must have hid that column. We can put that column back on the report, not a problem.
You know, I'm
Because I know
okay
we've
with
got
the 3.
some-
I know that's mine, but I'm hoping there ain't no more on there that's.
I'm not really sure whether,
Can we see
Where
if
that
she
column
can
go?
reprint it with the, because I know the column
yeah.
is normally there. Do you want to table this item until she reprints it for us, showing the counties?
Yes.
Second.
So moved.
Okay, so the motion's made and seconded that we table this until the end of our other consent items so we can reprint the report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next are our law enforcement requests. And there's new, you have a handout on that. So is there any discussion on that?
Move for approval.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Law enforcement requests are approved. Next are the street and roads. And there's an amended report. It's been passed out. We have what, the one?
Just the one amendment, Mr. Chairman, the Delaware Road project, Mr. Buzzer.
Move for approval.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So the road projects are approved. And next are the community assistance projects.
Move for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I second with the friendly.
Okay.
Councilman Cobb had requested $1,500 for the, bear with me one moment here. The Operation Eagle, which is in Washington County. That's not on the list, but he wanted to add that to the list.
From his
appropriation.
So should we, okay. So do you accept that as a friendly amendment?
I couldn't hear.
It was $1,500 from Councilman Cobb's appropriation, $1,500 again to Operation Eagle.
Okay, and Dr. Cobb's not in the room, so
I know,
I'm curious, I just need confirmation as courtesy to the colleague. I don't
That
know
was my concern too, is he?
Dr. Cobb had texted me and asked me to do that. He had to leave for some, to get back home, but.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
yes, ma'am.
And all of the council members from that group concur as well, I guess? Okay. Okay, very good. Yes, I accept.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
That was 1,500 Operation Eagle?
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to see if our cemetery is being printed, or is it?
She's doing that now.
Okay.
I do have one question while we're waiting. I noticed on the report that we were given for the cemetery preservation that we seem to have one gentleman that's quite a worker. He's applying for 8 cemeteries. I just kind of wondered, yeah.
The Great Randall.
I would defer to Counselor Hoskins because I think this might be in your area.
Many of the cemeteries are, if I could, Mr. Chairman. Councilman Cobb and I had some deal of discussion about this. Not all of the cemeteries for which he applied have been recommended by us. It is a large number. He has more than himself sort of involved in the cleanup efforts. A number of these are Delaware descendants and these cemeteries have really gone uncared for in some cases. So we feel confident. I don't want to speak this up for Councilman Cobb, although he didn't express any objection. I feel like Mr. Randall can handle it with the support that he has. But I think it's a fair observation to question whether that much should be allotted, but I feel comfortable with it.
I think we're asking for receipts too at the end of the year to be provided on each cemetery they're upkeeping, so that should be a safeguard that they've done the work.
Certainly. Yes, we are. Okay.
Not enough to run off to Tahiti anyway.
Not on $4,000.
Might get out of the state.
Yeah.
Good burial mistakes. Yeah. Okay. If there's no objections, we'll continue to wait on the cemeteries. We'll move into the new business for budget mod 7.
Mr. Chairman, it's a really clean mod. We had a little over 630,000 of grants this month and almost 630,000 of budget increases. About 300,000 of that is the transfer of funds to combine the consumer loan fund with the employee loan fund over in the economic development department. They're just combining a couple of funds there, but the transfer of fund balance required an appropriation. The only really significant budget in this mod is the IHS self-governance Health Equipment Replacement Fund, which received $279,900 of additional IHS funding in an amendment to the annual funding agreement for dental equipment at the new Salina Dental Lab.
Is there a motion to approve the budget mod?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, oh, excuse me, Councilor Buzzer.
I just had a question, Doug, on the IHS for water and sanitation. I understand we haven't received that this year. Are you familiar enough with that to know?
This year's funding for water and
From
sanitation?
the IHS, funding department.
I typically, once the budget goes in motion and we start spending, if it's compact dollars or things that are, that's an item that should be coming along through the negotiations of the AFA. But I think the congressional budget situation with what was going on in Washington had an impact on this year's funding. Someone in there. Polly, can you elaborate more than that?
Could be, because what I understand, we don't have those funds in yet, and you typically come in March for the 1st of April,
And we just got the federal budget for 2011, and there are some cuts. But yeah, it's, the lateness of it is because the federal budget just finalized for 2011.
Harley, would you like me to verify that we've received those funds or not and get back with you?
Yeah, which we did or not, yeah. I'd be curious to know. Thank you.
Any discussion on mod 7? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. And item 2 is the discussion on the Cabin Creek land.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, the Battle of Cabin Creek has been a subject of historical reenactment. I think it's been in Adair County. I think the Oklahoma Historical Society may have been involved, or at least one of its members, Leonard Logan of Bonita. They have a problem with finding land to conduct this reenactment, and the chairman, Mr. Chairman, will add some more information, I'm sure. But as I understand it, the Civil War Trust is going to kick in half the money to purchase some land in Adair County.
No.
That's not
No.
correct.
The land is actually where the battle sites, it encompasses basically all the sites where the battles took place.
But in terms of money to purchase
At
this
Cabin
land.
Creek.
Right, but in terms of money to purchase this land.
Then half the, it's, I believe it's around $360,000. And the Civil War Trust has agreed to pay for half of that. I think it's $370,000. They've agreed to pay $185,000.
And I don't know.
And the Oklahoma Historical Society right now has agreed with them to try to raise the additional $185,000, but the Cabin Creek Friends Group has already committed $10,000 to that. So the only question was, should we say the Cherokee Nation should buy it, but since it's in the Cherokee Nation, and have cultural tourism develop the site, or should we let the Oklahoma Historical Society, because either way, the Civil War Trust is going to be restrictions placed on the land when it's sold, that it cannot be used for development other than for development of the Civil War battle site.
And I think it's important that we take a look at it. I wanted the body to be aware, and I wanted to ask the administration, and Paula, if you could follow up on it. We'll get you some contact information if you don't already have it. I think the chairman's talked to the chief, but in my discussion with one of the people involved, they needed to act somewhat quickly on it because of the land and the nature of the purchase and who holds it. So I wondered if you could maybe somewhat fast track a review of this land and whether it's something the chief would recommend.
I'm not privy to the conversation the chairman has had, but be happy to do what I could do, get me that contact information and.
I've only mentioned it, there's been no discussion in depth.
Yeah, I'd be happy to check into it.
Okay, I'll follow up with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
But right now, the agreement is that the Oklahoma Historical Society would move forward, but it may be better that the Cherokee Nation since it's in our jurisdiction. Okay. Councilor Watts.
I would move to table this till next month for a recommendation from Chief Smith's office and action by this body.
Very good. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor of tabling signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So now we're waiting on our cemetery report.
And you standing right there, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The column, we've had a misunderstanding between Gail and I. The spreadsheet has all of the individual council members out to the right that does not get printed. But it's tracked by district. And after the 9 districts converting to 5 districts, I told her, you know, don't worry about that out there that doesn't get printed anyway because the districts are changed and until we get some, there's no relevance to it any longer. Well, she thought I meant the column that said the district number. So she didn't hide it, she deleted it. Okay. So we're gonna have to rebuild that and we can email it out to you tomorrow if that's okay. They are in the book report, by the way, and so we'll have to use that to rebuild them and send it back out, but it's just a misunderstanding.
Mr. Chairman, so was that, the motion was made, but it was pending the report being brought back, so we haven't voted on it, right?
Right.
So there was a friendly amendment requesting the Price Cemetery be pulled, both requests. I think I made the motion, I don't remember who seconded. I would just like to also amend that motion, assuming my second agrees, that we'll pass it forward to full council to be included in the budget mod with the assumption that this will be sent to us via email and updated for the budget mod for full council. And Price Cemetery's pulled for now.
Okay.
Because if you look under the budget mod, under new business, the first items that are in black, highlighted, black print but highlighted in yellow, those do give the district number. So, okay. So the motion was made that we pass this with the exclusion of Price Cemetery under full council with the understanding that the districts are to be sent to us. Okay. So you accept that as a friend, or you added that? So who was the second?
I don't know who the was it Buell? Who was the second?
Second. The cemetery.
I thought it was Tina with a friendly amendment to remove Price.
Yeah.
I think it was.
That's fine.
Don't we need,
She's here.
don't we need to do a motion to take it off the table? We've made a motion to table it and voted on it.
Okay.
We need to bring it off the table first.
So is there a motion to bring it off the table?
Move to bring it off the table.
Second.
Second.
The motion
All those
is.
in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Now-
Now the motion is that we pass this to full council with the
So moved.
districts being sent to us.
And Price Cemetery not on,
Just one
held until further notice.
Just one point of clarification. If we resolve the conflicting applications on Price Cemetery, because this is April, can we add it back in by our council meeting?
I think that would just be at the time we would amend, and there'd be a motion on the floor, but I would be amenable to
They
it.
may need it to clean the cemetery for decoration.
Okay. Councilor Garvin.
Just point of information, we should be working with 9 districts, not 5. We're 9 until the election.
Actually, yes.
Still District 4, not 3.
Right. That's what got us into the discussion in the first place, was trying to convert the columns that you don't see out to the right by sponsorship.
So until August the 14th, we'll have 9 districts.
And
Cemeteries.
go back to the way it was. Just keep it going.
And Mr. Chairman,
Do,
I would suggest adding county next to it, just so there's two, just go ahead and add the additional county so that it's easy to transition regardless of what happens with districts.
Okay. That'll be
Thank
easy
you.
to do with the 9. Okay. Most of them are single county district for the most
Do it
part.
regardless, even when it's 5.
yeah, so if you'll just add the county on there, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion of the cemetery preservation assistance? Does everyone understand?
Call for question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, you'll tell me if I'm out of order, but with respect to community assistance, could we direct Doug, since those have been before this body, to go ahead and process the paperwork and checks?
Because those were approved in the
Certainly,
previous.
yeah, I just think he'd like the peace of mind of hearing that.
Yes.
Yeah, and where my concern was am I okay to sign off on the paperwork and submit it for payment before it comes before this body for consent? Or do we need to wait, go ahead and process the applications, get them ready to submit for payment, and put them on the list, and then once the body grants consent, send them all over at once?
Mr. Chairman, my recommendation would be to do everything except send the check out until after it goes before the ENF, is my recommendation, so that it's in a book and it's in a public meeting.
Okay. So that he can actually send the request and get the checks.
Right.
But if it isn't approved in this committee, then the checks could be voided.
Could I ask, because some of these are time sensitive when they come to us, would there be the possibility that we have meetings the first part of the month and meetings towards the end of the month? That's about a 15-day cycle. Is there one of the other committee meetings at the front of the month that we could maybe add a little subcommittee to approve them?
I don't know. I would say no.
Because some of them are really time sensitive when they come to us.
For which items? Cemetery?
No, the community assistance was all I was talking about.
Okay.
My favorite.
And if they
Well,
have to
I would
go
assume that in any committee, we could move to amend the agenda to add
to
something
add,
necessary.
add those, okay, that's what I needed to know.
So, okay.
So we're not gonna send anything over for payment until a majority of this body grants consent, correct?
Councilor.
I mean, my understanding.
As co-chair of executive and finance, I would like to make, I believe the last study of any check writing was $65 a pop in overhead to write a check. And constitutionally, without the approval of this body, we shouldn't be writing a check. I just want to put that on the record.
Yeah, and I don't have, if I could, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, I don't have a problem with that. I would like to get us up to the point in terms of paperwork while the month's progressing, and then, but do nothing in terms of cutting checks is fine until after this body in a public meeting has said, here are the ones that we are acknowledging. That's my suggestion. I think
That the mod.
Okay.
Budget is
So,
approved. The appropriation has been made.
right.
Appropriations been made.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Which I struggle with that.
Motion's been made that we adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
I don't want to get caught in the middle.